call this meeting of the City Council order. It is Monday. Boy, I should know this off the top of my head. October 21st. We start with the occasion. Pastor Durandi, Fellowship Bible Church.
Great. Father, we thank you that we can come to you. Lord, we acknowledge that you are always good, loving. Everything that you do is always right. You're strong, you're powerful. All the things that we would like to be, we often aren't. So we pray. And we thank you for putting us in Oskaloosa. We can live here in this community. We thank you for our schools, Lord, and we just take a moment, Lord, to pray for them. They have such a big role in this community and in the lives of our kids. And so we pray by name for Paul Wright, for Stacy Van Marshalls, for Mike Dursky, for Sarah McLaughlin, and for our teachers. Just help them to administrate well, to teach well, that our students would be disciplined and learn well and be equipped and ready to serve. Lord, I pray that somehow you would make them humble and desire to their own ability to contribute, whether it be back to this community or if you put them somewhere else or there as well. Thank you for this city council. We pray that you would give them wisdom in everything that's on the agenda, lead their conversation, lead their decisions. Lord, just bless them, I pray. Thank you again that you're with us, that you hear us, and again, that you are good and loving and strong.
Thank you, Pastor.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Burnett.
Here.
Caligiuri.
Here.
Straw. Moore. Hudson. Here. Wall.
Here.
Yates.
Here.
First item up is the opportunity for community comments. This item is reserved for receiving comments from the community for concerns whether or not they're included in the current agenda. The community is encouraged to come before the city council. Ask to keep statements brief. Time shall be limited to no more than 3 minutes. Any questions are to be asked of the city staff, the council members, or the mayor prior to speaking to the full council, so concerns can be properly researched and answered away from the meeting. Comments are directed to the mayor and council only. Is there anyone who would like to speak at this time? Yes, sir. Please come to the podium.
This is in concern for our daughter, Tyler Parks, and she's lives at 901 South B, correct?
Yes, that's correct. I've never done this before, so forgive me, but I'm having issues with the nuisance property, and I've been told to bring it to the city council. I was told to round up my neighborhood, but again, I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'm just kind of going with it. But the situation, the neighbors are gone, so I believe the closure, and the issue that we're having is they left their critters behind, and it has been an ongoing battle for about 3 months now, and I'm not sure that that's an end, and I don't know where else to go from here. We've all sought professional help from exterminators, but I don't know what to do from here.
Well, you have cockroaches, right?
Yes.
And what makes you think explain why you think the cockroaches are coming from the neighbor's house?
Well, to be totally honest, you know, cockroaches are just disgusting, and how do you know for sure where they came from? So in the beginning I was not, which is why I didn't do something sooner. And then I had neighbors knock on my door because they saw an exterminator coming to my home every week, because obviously I wasn't going to live with it no matter where they were coming from. And then that's when I to neighbors. I realized the whole neighborhood was experiencing this issue because I guess I tend to keep to myself. And so the whole neighborhood was treating for bugs, and I guess when we contacted the fire station, that a few of the neighbors, whoever wanted to put a note however they handle it. And there were cockroaches even on the porch, and which I had wondered that from the beginning, but I wasn't going to set foot over there to find out, I suppose. But so my whole neighborhood is convinced that that's where they're coming from, because where did they come from? So we're just assuming when those people left, for whatever reason, they're running out of reasons to stay in that house.
And you had mentioned, I mean, you've had around meetings, right? How many times?
6. One was a bomb or a fog.
And you explained to me, he told you he was pretty sure they were coming from there as well, correct?
Correct, because I told him, of course, I wasn't 100% positive, but I called him right away, and he put boxes around the outside of my home to determine if we did get them in the boxes, then they're probably coming from somewhere outside. And we did get them in the boxes. We checked them the next day. So that, and they also told me I just had them at home on Friday. He told me that they should be gone by now with as many times as he's been in my home and the way that I keep my home. And so he says that also
Okay. So it sounds like this has been reported to nuisance enforcement, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And is there a capability to do any intervention at this point? Yes, please. And go ahead and introduce yourself, because the camera's going to be on you.
My name is Dustin Hook. I am the nuisance code official for the city of Oskaloosa. This issue has been I gotten a hold of the building inspector, Mike Flyhive. He has already sent word to whoever has possession of the home to get the ball rolling. I think it could be a little bit of time to get this done. He's expediting it as fast as he can to get it done, but it is in the process.
Okay. Do we have any capability? Is this would this fall under the definition of an emergency abatement?
Yeah,
And again, Mike Flagg would be the contact person with that. He deals with all the issues. Nuisance official deals with all the exterior issues. That's why I passed it on to him. Unfortunately, I do not have a good answer for you for that question.
Mayor, Council, we have a monthly code enforcement meeting, so we review the properties that are either under review by our staff or they're currently in the court system. And this obviously was one of the properties that was discussed. The building official was in contact with the bank. That took a little bit of time, so they are aware of what we're experiencing, what the neighbors are experiencing. It's my understanding that they've made a pledge to do something about it, but Mike the building official, was trying to get them. So the question whether that could be health and safety, yes, is the short answer to that. And I think we'll talk more about that tomorrow.
So what does that mean if it's health and safety? We can get into it tomorrow?
Emergency abatement. So the issue is you'd have to be able to get inside. It sounds like, or we're going to have to tent up the house. So are we going to take tax dollars and tent up the house? That might be the decision that's made. We'd obviously want to talk to the city attorney when he gets back as well. So we would explore our options, but to try to get the bank, the property owner, property manager to take care of that problem first.
when you said they were going to do something, you mean the bank, but you said sooner or how soon?
I was part of that specific conversation. Mike's not here tonight, but I'd be more than happy to provide a report back on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would care to speak tonight? Okay, seeing none, I'll move on. Next item is the consent agenda. These are all items that are considered pretty much routine by the city council. There's one that I wanted to call out, item H, which is a resolution scheduling the public hearing for November 18th to consider levying special assessment against a private property for weed cutting. There's just one property there. And so is there support for doing the consent agenda?
So moved.
Okay. Discussion. there anything anybody would like to pull off to separately discuss?
Scotty? Are you
Well, I'm trying to
satisfied?
find it, I swear.
It's E, they've got it under liquor license, and they got 3 of them in there, and 2 of them are licenses, and 1 of them is this issue.
Yeah, my question on this is, I formally, Rock Island Tap, they agreed to, the former owner, to stop the music at 11. And the residents were okay with that, and I had a call from one of the residents, because it's under new management, saying that they didn't think this was being honored anymore. And then a few days later, they called me back and said, well, maybe that we jumped the gun, maybe they quit by 11:15 or 11:30. But when I saw this, and I wondered, are we still gonna ask them to have the band stop at 11? And, what is your answer to that? Go to 12, or what time is the band gonna stop?
Well, the new owners had events there too already, I was thinking, outside events.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so,
Yes,
yeah, so I'd like to know what that was, because we don't need to worry about the previous owner.
Yeah, and again, Mayor and Council, I didn't know that this was gonna come up file on previous approvals for Rock Island Tap. I don't know if it was the previous events were approved tonight. If you want to make that a stipulation with the approval tonight, that's fine. We can pass that along. But that might be different than what has been approved in the past. I just don't know.
It's this weekend they're asking about, though, correct?
Yeah.
I think what they're asking is for the music of the bands to stop at 11, not for the venue to have to be over at 11. But I didn't see that when I read the note on this, as to what time.
Can we, is it something that if it's an issue we can pull off as a separate item? Consistent with previous approvals?
Okay, is that a
I mean-
motion, Bob?
Sure, yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
I'll second.
okay. So for the rest of the consent agenda, is there any discussion? So roll call on everything except this item, please.
Yes. Wally?
You're leaving B and C, because they're just licenses on the same page. Okay, yeah, yes.
Gates?
Yes.
Burnett?
Yes.
Calgery?
Yeah.
Dross?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. So get back to the event, and it is scheduled for this weekend. Then, so we don't have, if we were to throw it forward to another meeting, obviously it would be after the fact. What is council's wishes on this? Would you like to put in a stipulation that says, for that matter, I'm not familiar with the event, if it's a band.
Yeah, it may not even be a band.
What's the extension of it? Outdoor service. It says extension of outdoor service. What is that?
More likely, it's just a patio.
It's not required to,
Yeah.
and then.
Okay.
It didn't do
be-
noise.
It could be food, it could be anything.
Okay.
If they go outside, they're,
The state liquor license, they don't ask for hours on this. We just
Okay.
happen to know it was 6 to 12 because staff asked a specific question. So you go back and look at what we've done in the past, we wouldn't have those records on the license applications because
Sure.
it's not part of the requirement by the state. It's just asking for what days they want it extended after.
I think it ought to say, the minutes or something should say. I mean, they've got a beer garden, and that's legal with a license. That sound right?
We could change
But
our
if they go
procedure to
outside,
start asking.
have to put up the fence,
Right
which
now,
they usually do.
we just have what the state's license is, and so if I went back and look at past licenses, it's not gonna have a time frame. Now, I think we could go back and look at past minutes from the previous owner, and those would state the minutes because they and discussions on, so we could go back to those
Okay.
minutes.
I was thinking we'd approved it for the Wade, the new owner. but-
I think we have. I just, without searching through the phone.
You'd have to look like it.
I think we could go back and find maybe minutes that said from this time.
So can we come up to an agreement that says that we support or give permission consistent with prior practice.
Yeah. No, because they may not even be having a band out, I couldn't tell. I should have called them.
They should explain what the outdoor service was.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. And it could be anything.
Yeah. So, or if a guy wants to get more detailed, say, okay, if there is a band, then the band would stop playing at 11 o'clock. And if there is no band, then, or anything else generating what could be of noise for the neighbors, then it goes on as is.
I kind of like what you'd mentioned previously about consistent with previous events and approvals, because if it was midnight before, then if we approved midnight before, why wouldn't we approve midnight?
If it matters, like previous ones, but I do know we had agreement that at 11 it would be done. That's why residents stopped me, as they didn't feel like that was continuing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm unaware of any complaints that have been lodged. I think in the past we had a couple of property owners, and back down to one specific property owner. Nothing for a while, so this is the first that I'm aware of a complaint about noise.
I'd make a motion to approve it with conditions that are consistent with previous approvals.
Second.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Done with the consent agenda. Next up, item A, which is the quarterly report from the Mahaska Community Recreation. Andy McCarty.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Like you said, I'm Mackenzie. I'm the recreation manager at MCRF. And in our third quarter, the Mahaska County Little League hosted the minor and major Little League Girls State Tournament, July 6th through the 11th. It was a really great event, and we had a lot of teams from across the state. Then the Mahaska County Soccer Club began playing in August and will continue through the end of October. They have a major tournament this weekend, the Mahaska Cup. Fall ball with Cal Evans hosted 4 weekends of live plays and Babe Ruth Fields with 43 team shots every weekend. We had 1,158 participants for the Trail Tram Tours this year, and the tours continue through the end of October. That's difficult right now. So then Mahaska Health Partnership held their annual 5K Run in the Sun, and it was a record-setting event with 390 participants and volunteers. And the fall season is underway with the Oskaloosa Indians and William Penn Statesmen hosting games at the stadium, while YMCA flag football and Oskaloosa tackle are seeing high traffic at the youth football field. The Play It Forward program is a donated sports equipment program, and we have given away 84 items this year to youth in need. And then expressions, we reached out to Brock and the labor for our east parking lot by the 92 underpass, and that we greatly appreciate. It was a complete donation, and it improves trail access to the public. MCRF and DeLong Construction hosted a thank you lunch for DeLong employees at the MCF. We wanted to say thank you to all the projects that they've helped us complete. And then after the lunch, they also participated in a trail tram tour to kind of see the community. And then community businesses and individuals have donated almost $12,000 to support MCRF trail trams and various projects this quarter.
So, thank you. Thank you very much. Item B, this is the third quarter code enforcement report. Dustin gets back to the microphone.
Third quarter already. I can't believe it's years go by awfully fast. But again, the goal of the program is to make Oskaloosa more attractive and aesthetically pleasing. The community is working with property owners whose property are found to be in violation of the code regarding defined nuisances and dilapidated structures. In the third quarter, we had 4 dilapidated buildings, 2 of which have been closed. And I think we actually have one more that's been closed since this was made. We had 9 brush piles. All 9 have been taken care of. Hard surface parking with inoperable vehicles. I had 32 total violations in this quarter. 27 have been taken care of. And these numbers might be skewed a little bit because of when this report was actually made. Garbage and junk, we had 51 issues of garbage and junk around the city. 31 of those have been taken care of. Grass, we had 58. 51 of those have been taken care of. Again, like I said, when this report was made, those numbers might be skewed a little. We did have 1 illegal burning complaint. We got that one taken care of. The total of 155 violations this work, was 121 of those being resolved. September, you see total 58, 59, 38. We closed, or we had totals 155 total violations, 121 of those closed, 34 remain open. That is 78%, which is up from last quarter, being closed without having to send to city attorney or any other actions. So some portal projects. This is 914 North Market. As you can see on the left, the entryway looks about like it's ready to fall down. Worked with the property owners. They were really good to work with. And they were amazing. They did a really good job fixing this. 1006 South 2nd. Apologize for that day. I see a pile of what we consider junk. Now, my code are not made to be outside, like mattresses and things like that. But you can see there on the picture on the right. They got all that. 1612 South 11th. This is the old Thomas Repair Shop. I wrote them up for inoperable vehicles, hard surface parking, some junk. And there you can see ends up being an old pickup that's been overgrown with trees, been there for quite some time. They got it taken care of. They also had a white trailer, race car trailer sitting out by the road. They got that moved as well.
Okay, very good.
Some before and after pictures. This one here is under. We got a complaint about the wren being off the deck. As you can see on the right hand side, they got that reattached. It was beautiful. 414 South. Here again, a lot of cardboard boxes sitting out on the curb. Stopped by, told the gentleman that we can get this taken care of. And a couple days later, he had that cleaned up, gave me a call, let me know that, hey, I got this taken care of, we're good to go. South Third, this is starting to be a reoccurring issue with this particular property. There on the left, stuff laying around. I did take care of. Gotten a few more complaints here as of late that they're having some more issues with that. So we're going to try and work hard with the property owners to try and get this taken care of before it gets to be a major issue.
Is that a single family home or is it?
It's multi.
Is that the one that they were going to condemn and, yep.
Terry Anderson.
Who owns it
Anderson
now?
fixed that up and then sold that off.
Who owns
But
it?
I don't know who the property owner is today.
314 9th Avenue East. This one here, I work with the property owner really, really good to work
Yeah.
with.
She's
It'd be
not-
condemned now, he
He
does.
kept me updated on his progress, just about every day, letting me know, hey, I'm getting this move, getting that move. Went back after he was all done, and then he looked at the same property. He did an outstanding job. One of the long-term projects, 8 12 property, but in the backyard, he had what looked like a four-wheeler track. He had some jumps, and he had a large concrete tube that was causing some drainage issues with the neighbors. Stopped and talked to him, let him know what the complaints were. He advised me that he would get it taken care of. That was his plan all along, to get it taken care of, but he would have to work at it. He regraded the property, as you can see up there. You can see the concrete wall he's got built. That actually used to be where the tile tube was. He got that taken care of. And then he told me this was, it was 9/3. I think I wrote him back in May, June, somewhere in there. And he told me it'd be towards fall before he got all the regrading done. So it's not right now. He'll get it done next week. That way that'll be all taken care of, and we'll have any more issues with that. Some fourth quarter goals. Again, I'm going to continue to focus on those dilapidated structures, not only housing structures as well. And then continue with those community, or with the relationship that we've nice to see those guys come around to that issue. So just trying to talk to people like you want to talk to. And then a new one here, focus on the main corridors of the city. I know there's been a lot of issues in corridors as well. Take care of the main corridors, Market A, C, D, all the main travel areas of town. Any questions?
One comment, again, your efforts have been noted. A lot of people are saying things.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. The other thing is, statistics on these properties that are owned or rented.
I would
We'd like to look at that. We look at it from the other avenue on the rental inspection. But I just was interested.
Sure. I can get those to you sometime here next week.
Well, just on your next report, I mean, yeah, you know. Sir,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Question I have.
Justin.
Very well done.
914, first example you gave, you made a comment that these people were really good to work with and took care of it, and in 2 months they had, and I agree, it looks great. Why does it take you writing them up? I mean, for somebody who's really, why does it take you writing them up to get them to do that? Why?
This one here, I can tell you was a rental, or is a rental. It was stories that I don't know if they really went to the house too much, if they really knew how bad it was, or if the tenant was doing the work. The owners of the property that, hey, I'll do the work, save you guys some money. I really don't know, but as soon as I got the letter, they called me and said, hey, I'd like to get those pictures, see how bad it really is. They came and looked at it.
So they're looking.
Right.
Okay.
That's about
I think they're in an area that are not bad.
Yeah.
Because I live close by there.
But yeah, as soon as they found out what the issues were, they took action on it and took care of it.
and again, with the, you said it's a rental property, with the rental inspection, how does, I mean, my understanding the rental inspection like that would be a required
Well, he probably would.
fix.
Depends when the house got inspected
Okay,
under the program.
okay,
But, yes, that would have been part of the inspection.
okay.
Yeah, it should have been, and that issue hasn't been a new one. We've been after that particular property for, I would say, years.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
share your frustration in the question you asked, because it has not been an easy situation to get resolved. Dustin's done a good job of getting there, but it's required multiple attempts, whether it be the property, the occupant, parking in the front yard across the grass, parking off to the side, having multiple racing vehicles. This is a very well-known property for us as staff.
Thank you.
Item C, this is to consider a resolution for levying special assessment for a nuisance abatement at 2005 Carbonado Road. And so the information provided to the council, and I'm going to just read selections out of here because there's quite a bit here. On November 18, code enforcement staff visited the property at 2005 Carbonado Road to open a conversation with the property owners regarding junk hard surface parking violations, as well as multiple inoperable and unlicensed vehicles. Asked the property owners to submit a detailed corrective plan to the city in 30 days. On December 28th of 2017, they didn't notice any change. On January 16th of 2018, after a phone conversation, on September 29th, we filed resistance, and on November 14th, the court hearing was held. November 15th of 2018, the court denied the set-aside of the judgment. November 19th, there was an appeal, and on January 17th of 2019, the court ordered dismissed the appeal. On March 7th, the city sent a letter to the property owners advising that code enforcement would arrive on the property on April 18th. Due to the timely passing of one of the property owners, staff decided to postpone the abatement until May 13. And then on May 13 through 16, the abatement was conducted over a 2-day period. However, since it was wet conditions, it were 2 non-consecutive days. On August 10th of 2019, the property owner was invoiced for abatement. The owner is making payments on the invoice. There's still a substantial balance. And then the property owner provided a written response for the public hearing. We have that in our agenda as well. And just a couple selections out of there. I have 30 days from October 21st to pay the balance of my $8,438 bill. Been attempting earnestly to pay off that bill as it goes to appeals court. $500 a month to the city of Oskaloosa. Going down a little lower, I'm living on a fixed income, and at this time I'm asking you allow me to make payments of $1,000 a month each month until March of 2020. Do again, that allows me to pay down the debt. I'm not attempting to shirk my responsibility. Council, consider this so that I can take what I want to be. So I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to this? None. I'll close the public hearing, and then the agenda says this is a resolution assessment of the nuisance abatement. Do we have a motion supporting that?
May I ask a question? Are we voting on allowing her to pay for it?
The vote, well, what the agenda is bringing up is the creation of a special assessment that would lay it right on. And so we look at as property taxes are paid.
And that's somewhat what she's asking for, correct? In her
Well,
letter?
no, she's asking to go outside of that. What she's saying is she would prefer to have a repayment rather than have to go on property taxes with the 9% interest rate attached.
Have you closed the hearing?
The hearing is also.
Are you still thinking of, I thought you said this was gonna be delayed
I can't hear
possibly.
you, Tom.
Tom is suggesting, so in previous conversations that I've had with a couple of council members, upon receipt of the letter, it was my this item until next meeting, so that the city attorney can be here to provide additional advice to the council. Peggy has provided in her letter, I think, is something that the city council should do, which is allow her to make the $1,000 a month payments. In that arrangement, the city will receive its money faster than if it was assessed, because then through the assessment process, on this particular item, it'd be a 15-year potential repayment. She could pay that sooner, but she could also drag that off. So I think in the best case scenario, there is a middle ground here, compromise, which she has suggested. It's not necessarily changing anything that she would owe. We as a city have paid that $8,000+ for cleaning up the property that's on your screen. So I think it works. But I want to make sure that the city attorney is here to provide additional advice and hear clear direction for him to draft up some type of repayment agreement.
Because I would have moved for Peggy's, that we honor Peggy's request, but then Michael brought up the attorney part. There's some information that we need to know.
And there's no rush at this point, and she has been making her payments. A couple-week delay isn't the worst thing that
Kind of deal, but she's saying 84.38, and we're saying 74.80. Since she was letter.
There was a payment with this letter,
$1,000. There was, okay. So I mean, she, as you said, she's been paying. She's even went up the 1,000
Correct.
from the 500.
And I think that's an ideal situation for us. We recoup our money that much quicker. So I think it's a good thing. And again, the council can make that call tonight if you wanted to approve the proposal and have to draft up a repayment agreement. That could be the motion tonight. Or if you'd like to, we can delay it and talk about it. Either way is good from my perspective.
With doing it tonight, with the stipulation that if something Dave tells us we can't do or there's something special, we could bring it up next meeting. But He's trying to do the right thing, and I certainly would want to work with her the best we can.
Anything we can do, I'd do that.
So we've got, this is a motion from Doug. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Jeez, why bother voting? Everybody seconded.
Yes.
Elliot? Ross?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that passes. 17, this is to consider a resolution vacating a portion of Suffolk Road located west of Gateway Drive. On tap request from Community Development LLC to vacate 27,878.4 square feet of public right-of-way along Suffolk Road, which is located west of Gateway Drive. The street vacate is being requested in order to create a more convenient, efficient shipping and receiving access for prospective business located on the adjacent property. The subject street is located in commercial CC zoning district. Survey was sent to 3 different property owners with direct access to the portion of the street that's being vacated, 2 of whom responded. Of the 2, one of them is fine with the request. The other one was initially opposed to this request. The property owner who was initially opposed to it has changed their opinion after knowing that an access will be secured for the property. A survey of utility companies indicates that there's water, sewer infrastructure in the street. Additionally, the Iowa DOT has retained access rights to properties and utilities on this section of Suffolk Road. Therefore, an easement for utility and property if the street vacated. If this section of roadway is vacated, then the city will also need to amend the 28E agreement with the county for the maintenance of the road. Planning and Zoning Commission at their meeting on October 8th unanimously recommended approval by a vote to 0 no to approve the street vacated and sale. So staff is recommending that we open the public hearing, receive comments, close, and adopt the resolution to approve the street vacate request. So I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support for this resolution? Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Abstain. Project manager on project.
Moore?
Yes.
Watson? Yates?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. This is consider a resolution authorizing the vacation of sale of an alley adjacent to 322 North J Street. Staff received a request from Larry Adams, the owner of 322 North J, 16-foot by 16.5-foot section of the north-south alley and a 120-foot by 16.5-foot section of the east-west alley adjacent to his property. Mr. Adams would like to purchase the alley to perform improvements on his property. The subject alley is located in a residential R2 zoning district. Survey of 9 different property owners with access to the alley. 7 responded. Of the 7, 2 are opposed to the proposed alley vacate request, and 5 request. The property owners opposed to the request indicated that the east-west alley is frequently used by the public, providing a safer exit to J Street, and used by children, school bus stop on High Street. A survey of the utility companies indicate there is overhead electric fiber and cable infrastructure in this section of the alley. So a permanent easement for utility access will be required if the alley is vacated. Planning and Zoning Commission, at their meeting on October 8th of 2019, unanimously approval by a vote of 5 yes, 0 no, to approve the alley vacate and sale. The public hearing, is anyone who would like to speak to this time? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have to authorize the vacation and sale of the alley adjacent to 315 K Street?
Move.
Okay, discussion.
Alley, but we can publish them in color. Dots or something on it, because gray. So it was hard to tell. That I'm bored.
I guess at the P and Z meeting, were they aware of the opposed? And if so, did they have any commentary about it that would be helpful to us of why they were still in favor of 5-0?
So yes, the PNC was for this application. What the reason why they approved that or recommended an approval was because it was not denying access to properties. So the reason that as the people who opposed this alley vacate was because it safer exit. What they were citing is safer exit on High Street, and also the children in Walk Alley. It wasn't denying direct access to their properties. Was the reason why the PNC approved or recommended an approval.
Has the property owner at 315 North Side opportunity to purchase their half of the alley? Because that's the, as I look at it, that's the odd thing is that full 16 half, many times it's just half the alley when you don't own it. Other side.
They have not yet asked for it, but they will get the opportunity. If the council approves it, we 30 days because they're out there.
Okay.
Good point, but then they can't drive on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If they only own half, it's no longer a driving alley, right?
We got
If it's a private property,
So they can drive on their 8 foot? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, but our process is to have an applicant come in and say they'd like to purchase the full alley. Sometimes they work with their neighbor. Say, hey, I want the whole thing, so process is, assuming they want 100%. By code, it's required to offer that other half up to the.
And if,
I thought they got it offered regardless of what they want.
Yes, and that's what we're saying. Allow them to purchase, but we go through this process first.
Okay.
Council approves,
Thanks,
then they get that offer.
so if the resident 315 says, no, I don't want to purchase it, but I'm still if we purchase it, then the owner in blue purchases the full 16 and a half feet. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Calgery,
Yes.
Drost,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Addison,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Item F is consider a resolution levying special assessment property for cutting renewable means by the city of Oskaloosa. This is in accordance with Title 8, Chapter 8.20 of the City Code of the City of Oskaloosa. Time for the public hearing on levying the special assessment against the properties listed in Exhibit A. We have 2 properties there. were sent to each property owner and was published in the Oskaloosa Herald. If approved, the property owner has 30 days from the time of filing with the Mahaska County Treasurer to pay weed cutting in the clerk's office. After the 30 days, it's assessed to their property taxes with a payment schedule at 9% interest. So I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Okay, seeing none, I'll close. We have a motion to support this resolution. Okay. Any further discussion?
I think the point I'd make is that in South Beach, the same property that Tyler referenced earlier in the community. So not only do we have a long issue, we have a bug issue, and I think that creates a major nuisance.
Okay. So at this point, we're showing the owner as being the McMurrays. Is that still active?
I look at the Beacon website, it's still accurate.
Okay.
So it still shows Susan and Earl Murray as the owners of the property.
Okay. Okay.
Mayor, if I could ask for a couple minutes real quick, I need to look up something. For the property, 601B Avenue West, I think I just or the city attorney last week to file 657A procedures of abandoned property on that, so I'm not so sure. Yeah. So I would request the council not proceed with that assessment, because then we'll just have to take it off. So we've been there before, but in this circumstance, we're. Still, one is a different circumstance where the property owner had passed away, and the person hasn't been, the remaining family members have not been that property for over 8 months. So they've agreed to write the city or 657A Iowa Code and court proceedings. So my recommendation would be to strike that from this particular action tonight.
Okay. Is there someone who would make that motion?
I'd make a motion to remove it. 601. Motion already. Okay.
Motion is given to remove to approve.
Just 907.
Minus.
Yeah.
You're gonna make the motion, I'm gonna second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Strauss,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Addison,
Yes.
Wally,
We're talking about 907, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you, yes.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. It's just item G. It's a resolution amending the City of Oskaloosa fee schedule for the purpose of implementing safety inspection duties. Members of the Public Safety Committee, the City Manager, and Fire September 18, 2019, regarding the possible implementation of fire department user fees. The recommendation of the committee presentation proposal be taken to full council for consideration. On October 7th, the Oskaloosa City Council approved by a 6-0 vote to approve fire department user fees structure, passenger, and commercial vehicle, and brass fires using FEMA resource typing rates. Fire safety inspection user fees were also discussed during the meeting. A 3-3 vote required this item be brought back before council for either approval or rejection. If the attached resolution is approved, these would be placed within the current city fee schedule and become effective on January 1 of 2020. Department staff is available to answer questions, provide a brief presentation on action requested with this item. Based upon conversation by the city council at a previous meeting, staff is recommending that the approval of new fees for the inspection services that are already being provided by the fire department at no charge. This includes inspection fees for licensed daycare, excluding in $25 per year, liquor license at $40 per year, and any re-inspections at $25 per visit. So let's start off with this. Do we have a motion? The city of Oskaloosa fee schedule regarding safe inspection user fees.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. What is council's council's desire? Would you like to have some conversation, or would you like to have maybe some question and answer of fire department personnel? Or do we feel we have enough of an understanding?
Question goes to the sheet. Is the ones that are not highlighted now existing are doing fees that they're not charging? And it's only
The ones that we are currently performing are the highlighted items. The ones that are not highlighted provide a new inspection and a new fee. And that's where I think discussion, reflection, implementing new inspections, I don't know that is necessarily the route to go at this time. If we're already going to be performing some of those inspections, like ones that are highlighted, suggest that we try to recover some of our costs associated with that work.
If I remember right, the state's paying us.
No.
Or they do it for free.
So when fire conducts they'll do fireworks inspections. That is where we have agreement with the state to receive some money.
So the inspection are those performed by the fire department because they are inspired by our city code, or because the state has requested our help in doing those?
Required by the state, as I understand it.
Okay. So Chief Neff had mentioned that some call us up and say, would you please do the inspection, and then as a courtesy to the state, we end up doing it.
Not for the highlighted ones. The highlighted ones are part of our inspection process.
But non-highlighted ones are what they do out of courtesy for the state.
Yeah.
Causing this conversation, why are we having a conversation about the highlighted?
I didn't hear Steve.
Why are we having the that caused us to have the conversation? Are we doing inspections that we pay for now? Are we required to do those inspections? What made us decide to go? Why the conversation?
So the staff committee discussed some opportunities to try to recover costs, and one of the inspection areas that the chief had suggested that we look at were areas that the state may not get to as frequently. And so he suggested all of these ones, these three that are not highlighted. They're areas that the state performs today, and we do not.
Well, if the old ones are already doing it, they're already in the fee schedule.
We're doing free.
Correct, and that's
Yeah, no, I'm voting against it, but it's okay. I just
So to understand what you just said, that the state is doing, right? That are assisted living group homelessness. So we would do them instead of the state?
we would do them in addition to the state, not duplication.
Nice, I'm asking a question. Okay, all right. And then one off this topic goes to, if we're going to daycare, what would we do at home?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know that there's any requirement.
Yeah, I don't
I
think.
don't know that there's any state requirement in Iowa to do that.
Was there a state requirement that we
Well,
do?
the state does, in fact, do in-home
In-home.
inspections.
I was going to say, you see these news stories where these, that's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
So,
The way I understood it, Tom, we met a couple times, and he said the liquor license, licensed daycare, and the re-inspection we are doing, and he felt like since we were doing them, we should get paid a fee to do. And ones that are highlighted, we are not doing, and we would only do those fast. But since we are currently doing them, I kind of feel like, well, maybe we, just leave those alone. But the ones who are actually going out and doing already, like if you go to they've been inspected, certificate on wall, which the fire department has inspected them, and they do that once doing it and continue to do it, and they wanted to charge them $40 a year for that. And as a committee, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't we feel like since we're already doing it, we should be getting paid for it? And that was how that rationale played out.
So did
Now,
the committee,
go and
the committee this whole thing as is?
Well,
Somebody wrote it.
Yeah, yes. Committee, I think, was support all this, and my thinking is too that even though we are not doing those that are not highlighted at this point, I don't see any harm in having a schedule in place so that if we do in a situation where we need to do those, we have that already there. You know, I'm not saying that we're going to start doing them just willy-nilly or as a major function of the fire department, but if we are asked to do that, then we have that schedule in place already.
On. I'm just talking right now. I think maybe I would let's do the yellow and let's do the white. I might vote for the yellow, but I'm not going to vote for the white.
And I voted no last time
So did I.
along those same lines. My concern with the white right now, at least per as I understand it, the state, let's say the state typically does an assisted or group home, they don't charge for it, correct? Is what I thought I heard the chief say.
Yeah, the chief is
So
saying
if
no.
all of a sudden they couldn't get, they asked us to do it, on which one you are, which is living, you might penalize because the state couldn't keep up with it.
I think
So
that if
I
the
would-
state asked us to do that, we could certainly ask the state to pay those fees, and if they're not willing to do that, we could certainly waive the fees as well. We always have that.
White is the hospitals.
It is inspected by somebody else.
I know.
By third parties too, so.
Healthcare.
I know one of the questions I asked enough was re-inspection. License and daycare, do we have to do re-inspections? He said sometimes we do. So I just felt like that was one way to keep our children safe and the people that are in having a beer safe, so. Safety factors are already doing it. And we're paying our guys to go do it. It would be opportunity maybe to pass that on at a fairly low cost to the owner of the bar.
I could be comfortable with the yellow, I'm not sure I'm opposed to it. I just don't know that I understand it enough as far as the state does. They don't, how often they call. Maybe based on the information I have so far, I just really don't know. I don't. Further on that? David, I'm sorry.
I apologize, I was not part of the discussion of the group. So on this also, daycares, we do out with the state fire marshal for West Texas and also facilities, homes, we have gone out with the fire marshal to inspect those also. The re-inspections, what we're seeing there is usually the liquor establishments. We'll find a violation and we'll, write a notice on it, what they need to correct, give them, notice, that's corrected, we license. So that's what the re-inspection is, the liquor license.
On the top two yellow ones, Dave, or tell me again, okay, we're doing it, but we aren't paid, but if we, does somebody else have to do it?
We have to do this part of the permitting process for license. It's something that is part of the checklist.
So we have to do it.
Yes.
Mandatory.
Amy has to say, go ahead.
Huh?
You're gonna say no.
I just went to training on Thursday on this, and they obviously recommend, the Iowa Alcoholic Beverages Division recommends the liquor license, but it's up. Yeah, so I assume that it's just probably always been a part of our process. I don't know if we have ordinance or codes written, but, they are not going to do it. City to inspect, not inspect, and then if we don't inspect, we just have to let them know that we did not inspect this establishment, but that's not holding up the license, is what they told us on Thursday in our training.
The liquor license, to get your liquor license, you must be inspected.
If it's on premise.
Currently, what is the current fee that is paid for a liquor license?
Depends on your license.
Okay, I mean, so like,
And
for an on-site, I mean, we're talking about on-site, on-premise consumption. just ballpark. I guess where I'm going with that is, are the establishments already paying for the inspection through their fees?
No.
Okay.
And the state's not going to inspect.
But if we don't have a license, all they have to do is go to state and have a legit reason to get a liquor license. So there's something about that, this doesn't make sense.
So the state's kind of they're changing their forms where this is required, this is required, this is required. They're saying that the fire is not, they're not requiring it. It's up to the city. And the city of Oskaloosa is done it.
It seems like if we have that many people, they're there like an on-premise consumption, we would have to know it's safe from a fire. It just makes sense to me from a practical standpoint.
Also, part of the inspection of the liquor establishment, we look to see.
Right.
And that it is labeled, so if they get too many people in there, we can actually have them shut down, to bring that number down, to have that many people in that establishment.
I think that makes sense.
Maybe we should bring forth, and it looks like we already have in this, that we would agree to the 3 items. Is that what it is? And then maybe we'll agree on those, the ones that are highlighted in yellow, and then save for another day, another year to discuss the ones that aren't highlighted.
If it got into that where we were regularly doing it and it was our expectation, we should pay for it. I'm not clear on how often we do it, and that seems too hit and miss with the state right now.
And I think it's a good exercise for us, so we can start keeping track of the requests that state is putting out to us, and we can always revisit this next year or 2 years from now. It doesn't matter. Again, when we're talking about the amount of money, we all kind of joked last meeting. I think the total impact from this was $10,000 fees that were presented. So this would be a very small segment of what we would receive in revenue. So I don't have an issue with this request from state and bring that future.
In fact, I think if I remember the breakdown, it was going to be $7,000 for the fire and $500 for all of these things, and if we back out the 3, it would
We're about
vastly.
$500.
We probably need to maybe explain to you.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was bringing it up, this was a 2-part presentation. One was on the fire, and everybody was for that. And then this had an issue, and the vote was 3-3, so that's why we're sitting here talking about it. And then the fire.
So at one point, the conversation was talking about back to the piece on South Highway. Let's see, that's not quite it, but there we go. There was some interest in carving out the highlighted liquor license, on-premise, licensed daycare, excluding in-home, and re-inspections.
Yes.
So who made the motion?
I had more.
Okay, and that's what I'm asking. That motion to handle the 3 items that are highlighted yellow.
Definitely, I would. We charge a fee for on-premise consumption liquor license, licensed daycare, excluding in-home, and for our re-inspection.
Okay.
Second.
And the second's good with that. Okay. So I think I'll call for a vote on that. Is there any further discussion?
There is.
Okay.
The purpose of this is to do what? For fire safety? Is that what this is for?
Yes, the liquor license and the daycare, we're doing those right now. That is mandatory by law.
Maybe I'm just getting hung up on this, but I find it difficult to something where I care about the ones that are in licensed daycare, but I don't care about the ones that are unlicensed daycare or in-home. I just don't get it. I don't understand. Maybe it's because we can't identify the in-home ones, but I'm just looking for somebody to understand why I'm saying it's okay to make sure the kids that are in licensed daycare have fire alarms and maybe carbon monoxide and whatever, and or not, we don't check on them.
It's a good
We do
question.
care about them.
Well,
and
you
again,
know what I mean, though, Mike?
No, it's a good question, but
Other inspection.
we're not making anything, so we're trying to recoup a cost. It's not really
Okay.
about safety, to
I
answer
got
your
you.
question.
Steve, I asked that question of Mr. Neff, and he that it's really hard to identify the in-home daycare.
And that's what I wondered, if that was the
And if
answer.
they have so many students, or people they're taking care of, they have to register. And then someone goes and inspects them and looks at their menus and on, and that's how they become a licensed daycare. So if I have a daycare in my home and I'm only taking care of 4 kids, they have no way of knowing who I am, where
Right,
I am,
I wondered
and
about
how I
that.
am.
Gotcha.
If I have 8 or 9 kids, I have to register, and then they can identify me.
Well, that's why it says licensed daycare.
Right.
Yeah, that's
All right,
exactly.
that's fine.
But that's a very good question.
So just to make sure I go all the way around on this.
No, I just wanted an answer to my question, so I got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion on the 3? Roll call, please.
Moore?
Yes.
Addison?
Yes.
Walling?
Voting on the yellow, right?
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Yates?
Yes.
Burnett?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that passes. And so I think I know where this is gonna go, but I will ask, do we have enough interest for somebody to make a motion on going back and voting on the other 3? Seeing none, we'll move on. Okay, item H. This is to consider a resolution approving the final plat for the Gateway Commercial Park subdivision. The City of Oskaloosa has received a final plat application from Community Development LLC for Gateway Commercial Park Subdivision Plat 2, located west of Gateway Drive between A Avenue West and Suffolk Road. The proposed final plat, with a total area of 6.75 acres, will create 2 commercial lots and 1 lot that will be designated as a public right-of-way. Proposed subdivision is partly in a HC, which is Highway Commercial Zoning District, and partly in a CC, which is Community Commercial Zoning District. All lots meet the zoning requirements for a new subdivision. The City Council approved the preliminary plat for the subdivision on their at the meeting on August 20th of 2018, and approved Plat 1 at the meeting on October 15th, 2018. The public improvements include a new 31-foot wide paved roadway. It'll be named Coal Mine Loop. It was previously labeled as Gateway Court in the preliminary plat. It'll have stormwater and water infrastructure, street signage, and streetlights along the roadway. The final plat also includes a 20-foot utility easement along the west side of the proposed public roadway on Coal Mine Loop for the installation of utility infrastructure. These public improvements have not been completed. Therefore, staff is recommending that the final plat approval must stipulate with a financial security for the public improvements, which is estimated total of $484,778. Staff requested that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend to the City Council approval of the final plat. Install street improvements, storm sewer, water main, light poles, and street signage within 1 year of recording the final plat. Number 2, install the sidewalks within 3 years of recording the final plat. And 3, provide financial security in the amount of $484,778 for the required public improvements. There's a $65 that we'll receive for the final plat application fee. Do we have a motion supporting the final plat?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this?
I do have a question. Why do we say wait, or don't wait? Why do they have up to 3 years to do sidewalks, but only 1 year to do the other? Why are sidewalks different than the rest? I'm curious.
I think they should have time with the rest of the development, so as
Trying to get it built before they tear up sidewalks that they put in?
Yeah.
But somebody keeps track, because I just in my head, I think, and I wasn't here at the time, is it Gateway Church? And the sidewalks were required at a later date there also. And either we lost our appetite or nobody keeps track of it, so that's why I asked the question, so.
Nope, we're keeping track of both of those, and
Well, we are, but I've been in discussions where nobody sidewalks, and now for the project, but.
right, and so, yep, that's how it was left with Gateway, the Nazarene Church, that the city could come back at any time in the future. And most recently, that was modified to say when the development occurred on the north side of this development, they would have to install something at a later date. So yes, we're keeping track of that.
So the city,
it's coming.
3 years from now, if it's not done,
We would, well, we would have a
File on the bond.
Yeah, we'd have a performance bond. that
right,
would-
right, okay, all right.
No, he'll put them in,
And I just wanna verify
no
that,
question.
has the developer been made aware of all three of the stipulations, and is the developer okay with that? Thank you, Beth.
Further comments? Questions? Roll call.
Addison,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates, Burnett.
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Droz,
Abstain, project manager.
Moore,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Gets us to item I. Is to consider an ordinance amending Oskaloosa City Code, Chapter 10.48.060, adding a new subsection relative to off-street parking on other than a hard surface within the city limits. This is the first reading. City staff has expressed a desire to have a new provision made to address off-street parking on other than hard surface. This is currently prohibited by city ordinances, but under the current ordinance, violations have to be prosecuted as a municipal infraction, which can be time-consuming, cumbersome, and costly. Staff has proposed that similar prohibitions be added to Chapter 10.48.060, so that violations can alternatively be pursued by citations issued by the city police rather than the more time-consuming municipal infraction methodology. And so, this is the first reading. Do we have a motion supporting this change in ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
So surprised we didn't think of this earlier.
What?
Well, I mean, it's the chief people about a ticket?
Yes.
Okay.
There wasn't much of an appetite from as you might recall.
Well, we're getting them either way. I mean, you know, if it needs to be, and much simpler.
Yeah.
One question I have though is that, so I have my car parked in some Saturday afternoon, and Chief drives by, he can ticket me for having my car parked in my yard. That's what this would do.
Yes.
Whereas process is that Dustin gets to be the bad guy and deal with all of those.
But if you were to get that done, could you come to council to, or is it, or how do you, is there a, can't think of the right.
There's no appeal.
Is there appeal?
Your district court, of course, if you wanted to go to
Oh,
court.
gotcha, okay.
But, I mean, obviously, the officers will have discretion, just like they do today, when they issue other citations. And so I think if I had to guess, knowing the chief and his approach to dealing with the community, there would be conversations publicly about it. And maybe there would be a warning first, but there are clear violators, habitual violators in our community that Dustin spends a lot of time with. And 3 days, notice, go through the municipal infraction process, and by the time you start that, they end up moving it. And so, an example, right across the street from Webster School, almost weekly, there's a vehicle that parks in the front yard. You tell them, I know we've been out there, and we've talked to them, and have said, please don't do that. And then there's another vehicle a week later. So this will be another tool for us to address those potential issues.
And I know we've had a couple of instances either where snow warnings, or we're doing construction on the street where we tell people, you know, to get, some people just don't have the option, but they have a couple of vehicles and time, but we put them in their yard. I'm assuming we'll have good discretion on those instances as well. Thank you, Chief.
Does this have anything to do with the row?
Right away?
Right away.
Right, the one you can look, have clear
Yeah, but you
vision.
can't park on the right of way, right? I don't care if you got gravel down, you pave it, you can spend your money to pave it, but you still can't park there if it's not allowed.
Some do.
So that's what, so this really doesn't involve the row.
It would be anything that's not hard surface. And there are certain exceptions within this community. You'll see them. They've been paved. Generally speaking, this would be right away. This would be front yards, side yards. Supposed to address people that
The front yard's my front yard. The row, the city wants to always claim it, so.
And
to
thank
me,
you for
there's a
maintaining
difference.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll let us maintain, don't get me started. Yeah, we do everything, but the city owns it, but that's okay. I wanted to ask though.
Except the sidewalk, that's yours.
No, that's, bro, that's the problem. You gotta maintain it, but they don't, it's. I'd go back in history, when I lived on 10th Avenue, I gravelled the row. Didn't know it was a row then. Thought it was great. I gravelled it, I parked there, 70 years, and then one day I got a ticket. And that's what made me get thinking when you asked this. What's this ticket for? You can't park in the row. Okay. And then, well, that was gonna be my point. That was a highlight back then, and then it's like, it went away. So we have trouble with that. Keep continuing doing.
10 years he did.
If it's right, we should continue to do it. If it's wrong, we should stop doing it.
So, getting back to the ordinance. Okay. Just wanted to give
I
everybody.
might change my vote just because Bob brought that up.
I mean, this is, so just to be clear, this is cars, trucks, trailers, wagons, anything not parked on,
Yeah.
on solid surface.
Yes.
And that is one thing that I did not
Can be
read out,
taken.
is below the recommended action, the wording that actually says that vehicle already, other than concrete, asphalt, or asphalt concrete, brick, seal coat, gravel, or crushed stone surface within the city limits. So there, we actually specify what that hard surface is. That if you're gonna have something like that, that's what you're gonna park it on.
My yard sits far enough off street.
I'll call him.
Thank you.
Okay, any further comments? This is things that I did years ago. Roll call, please.
Walling,
Vote for it, only because we're gonna do it anyway. We do a process, but we do a lot of regulation. So I'd say yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Caliger,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Odison.
Yes.
Okay, that passes on its first reading.
You're thinking of that
Okay, moving
gravel.
on. To consider ordinance amending Oskaloosa Municipal Code Title 17 zoning by incorporating corrections and minor modifications, including setbacks, street parking, pavement standards. Proposed ordinance corrects errors. Information, clarifies certain standards, and makes minor amendments to the zoning code to ease development restraints. Amendments also include permission to remove gravel or stone as surface option in the commercial districts in response to the council's goal to improve our gateway and corridor. More information can be found in the communication sheet to the Planning and Zoning agenda. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval with a 5-0 yes vote following a public hearing meeting. Staff has heard and recommends City Council hold a second reading of the attached ordinance. This is the second reading. Do we have a motion of support?
So moved.
Okay.
Same question we had last time, John. Seal coat is okay, right? I'm just bringing it up again. We talked about it last time. But
Yes, it is.
yes, thank you.
Any further conversation or questions? Second reading, roll call, please.
Gates.
Yes.
Burnett.
Yes.
Caliger.
Yes.
Dross.
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Odison.
Yes.
Walling.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Okay, unbelievable. That gets us to the agenda. Reports from city staff, city manager.
None at this time, Mayor?
Okay, city clerk, anything?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, city attorney's not here. Members of city council, how about if we start with you, Steve?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, Tom?
Yeah, I got a couple. Okay. First of all, my prayers to the family of Roy Stevens. He's a longtime employee of the city, and he did us a great job, and he really helped. He passed away this week, or last week, excuse me. But he helped us out a lot. He had a lot of certification, which was helpful. that on the family. Then with Dave Christian's here, and I'm not sure who's in charge now. I want to thank whoever is covering now that we don't have a fire chief.
It's covering.
I didn't want to leave the other one out, but thanks to Dave Christensen.
Nothing tonight, sir.
Okay.
This one doesn't take place probably over there by, the hotel.
Over by the super.
Anything new on that?
All of them.
Other than, seems to be getting. If not, that's okay.
We can certainly schedule time for discussion. Yeah, but there's nothing real new.
That's fine.
Okay. Bob?
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah, reiterating the comments that the passing of Royce, I think, was a shock to all of us. Remembering a couple of years ago, in particular, when we were talking about the operations of water and wastewater, and combining them together through a 2080 agreement. Royce was a very important part of that, and it was a time that was very tender and neat to have staff with certifications who were committed to this project, and Royce was one of those folks. So yeah, our thoughts and prayers go to the family, that he will be very much missed. And so with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We do not need a closed session tonight. I'm not prepared to
Okay.
present information.
Well, great. I gotta talk longer, Doug.
Move to adjourn.
You made me quit talking.
You already got one. I can't seem to get anybody to second it. Oh, you got a second. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.